Hello, hello. Very loud. Hey, Dean Blundell. I know I can
Hey,
hear
buddy.
you, and I can hear this music very
Yeah.
loud. Let me get rid of that. Welcome
No, I
to
liked it.
the. I
I
like it
liked it.
too.
I like the background music.
I know,
It's like FiveStack intro. I dig it.
I know it's rock and roll because that's what you remind me of. Is rock and roll.
And it's copyright free, Zev. It's copyright free.
Of course, I did that. Do you think I spent our money? We don't have money. But Dean Blundell is currently on location somewhere. Very exciting. He looks very good, doesn't he? After a few hours of travel, you're on another continent, bringing us the news from the central hub of a European destination. What's going on,
Yeah.
Dean?
Yeah. So heading to Rome right now. As we know, Pope Leo the 14th was whatever they do to popes when they name them popes installed. Is
Ascended?
that
I
the is that
ascended?
the ascended?
I don't
He
know.
was named the next pope.
Yeah,
So I am off to Rome for a series of interviews. I'm off to Rome for a little bit of business, and I'm really excited to meet the people of Rome. Because the funny part is that we operate in these silos, right? We live in Canada. We're very Canada centric. We have our opinions about other people, but to step outside and go to an EU country that's currently fighting Trump, that's in the middle of the mess. Georgia Maloney, as everybody knows, is fairly conservative. And I want to kind of get the opinion of the Italian people on Canadians. I want to talk about the new Pope. I want to talk about, got a couple of really great interviews set up. I'm pumped, dude.
oh
I'm
yeah.
excited to kind of get out of the country and get the feel for that fascist creep across the globe, if you will.
I'm
Yeah, it's
really,
going to be fun.
I'm really excited that you're doing this for us, and excited that you're getting to see some of Europe. And I know this is also a great trip of a lifetime that you're having, so that's also lovely, and well
I'm sure I'll
deserved.
squeeze some fun in, Zeb.
I hope so. I hope so. You wouldn't be Dean Blundell if you were not. Let's do the countdown then, because we have a limited amount of time as you're waiting for a
Yeah, we
plane,
do.
as everyone can see. At number 5 is the news that basically Trump and or the United States and China have agreed to what I would call either a surrender, or maybe you could say it's a trade deal between the two countries. Wall Street had a good day today. The Dow was up a lot as Trump and China agreed to dramatically slash their trade war tariffs after months of economic warfare that brought trade to a standstill. Now, both sides have agreed to sort of step back from the brink. The Chinese goods have gone down from 145 to 30%. That's the US tariffs on Chinese goods for 90 days. And China has dropped to its US goods from 125 to 10%, also for 90 days, while they try to figure out the details of all of this. A good day for the markets. Is it a good day for the United States? Is it a surrender or is it a deal?
It's not a deal. It's an announcement. China even came forward and said they don't have a deal. They're going to try to figure things out in this pause and a reduction. It wasn't even a pause, it's a reduction in tariffs. So tariffs are still on, and Americans are still paying 30% on every piece of Chinese goods that come in from the United States. I mean, and the other thing is it doesn't happen overnight. Like votes just don't magically appear the next day after you have an announcement. You tell
Sure.
everybody that things are going to be okay, right? So the funny part about this deal is it mirrors the UK deal, which wasn't a deal. These are just announcements. And you ask, is it a deal or is it a surrender? It's absolutely fucking 100% a surrender.
Yeah.
Like there is zero chance that this is a deal. And the reason why it's not a deal is because both teams said it wasn't. But then you go back to some of the Truth Social tweets or whatever you call them, social posts, and same thing with Twitter. It's being represented by the White House and by Trump and by the Trump regime as if it's some kind of like, incredible trade deal. Not only is it not a trade deal, at
Mhm.
the very best, it is a reduction in the posturing and an agreement to talk more about what it's going to take to get back to ground zero. And they're still 30% over ground zero at this point in time. So, no, dude, this isn't a deal. It was
Yeah.
never a deal. And none of these deals are deals. It's just
Well,
Trump surrendering and saying, hey, dude, I want to look and and it's the same thing. He does it all the time. He creates a crisis and then he eats shit. And then at the end of the crisis and the shit eating of the crisis, he just decides that he's had enough and he'll kind of, and he'll give him credit because he portrays it as if he's some kind of like, a world famous economist and he's a fucking idiot. And I echo back to the same thing that he said the other day, which he was widely panned for. When they said to him, hey, listen, is this a trade deal? You got a trade deal with China, you got a trade deal with the UK. And he's like, it's complete and comprehensive. There isn't a human being with an economy degree or a journalist that's followed this stuff. It's like, oh yeah, it's a trade deal. No, Justin Wolfers panned it. He said, hey, yeah, this is good for the economy, but it's just stepping back, as you said, from the brink. That's all it is.
You know what? You're very spicy when you travel. You're
Thanks,
spicy
buddy.
when you're jet lagged. I quite like it. I got to say, you're absolutely right on that. Look, 30% is still a lot for tariffs, and there is a lot of money coming into the U.S. Treasury. By the way, I've been noticing a couple of reports saying there's billions of dollars, maybe just millions, but it's going to add up to a lot of money that is coming in because of tariffs. He's going to be able to say the deficit is no longer there. We have a surplus, but it's all just smoke and mirrors because at the end of the day, inflation is going to come eat ours all later on in the cycle when this finally becomes an inflationary crisis.
Hmm.
Number four, wait, I'm going to show you something which I thought was really interesting. We might get a kick out of this. This is I have to
Show
do
me.
it. Let me add a number here so you can see this.
Quite a
This
graph.
is America's sort of favorability ratings around the world. And as you can see, China is ascending. America is sinking almost to the same level as Russia. Russia,
Yeah.
United States.
That's unbelievable, dude. And yeah, like you knew it, right? Like
Yeah.
nobody's going to America anymore. In this is that little dip that you see there at the top, where it goes down to Russian approval ratings. That's
Yep.
Trump. That's
Yep.
Trump. That's what he did. It's the ice raids. I've seen so many videos of that this weekend too. It's not just the cratering of the economy; it's treating his own people like shit.
Yeah.
It mirrors what goes on in Russia. Like I watched an ice raid yesterday, and there were dozens of videos of these ice raids yanking people out of houses. And then I stumbled across another video of Putin sending his FSB agents into homes, martial arts gyms to pull people out and to send them to the front lines. There's no difference. That's what that exists for.
Yeah, this is. I mean, look, China being more popular than the United States tells you everything we have been saying on this show. That this is exactly what the plan was for Donald Trump.
Mhm.
Between China and Russia, they figured out, well, we'll sink America's popularity. We'll come out smelling so good, even though these are still very autocratic, very problematic countries. But they've done such a good job with the disinformation, with the propaganda, and with Donald Trump, as installed as president, but being such a corrupt POS that this is what you get. You get China being more popular than the United States. The world is upside down, ladies and gentlemen. So that's an interesting little graph that came out of the.
Yeah, can you imagine a time when America would have a lower approval rating than China on the world stage?
No, no, I couldn't imagine that. I couldn't imagine it happening that quickly. It could only happen because someone's trying very hard. The number four story on the countdown today is Alex Jones. There's this story going around the world, mostly on X, that when Macron, Starmer, and Merz met across on that train as they were heading to Kyiv for that big meeting, that Macron had a bag of cocaine that was being tossed onto the table accidentally, and that he had to hide. Now, it turns out this, of course, was not a bag of cocaine. It was a Kleenex. It was a tissue. The guy had a runny nose for whatever reason, not because of cocaine. But the whole thing got stirred up again, firstly, by Alex Jones when it first came out as a story. But then it came up again because he's insistent that it still is a bag of cocaine. What he did is he showed this doctored photo. You see on the left is a doctored photo
Mhm.
of the tissue, which looks like a little bit more like a bag of something, although not really. On the right, you see the actual photo, which is clearly a Kleenex. So you got Alex Jones basically repeating propaganda that was originated. The first time it was retweeted came out of the Russian foreign ministry. He repeated it, he retweeted it, and then expanded on it, and then
Yeah.
he then backed it up with this doctored photo. If you didn't need any more proof, you now know Alex Jones for sure is pushing Russian propaganda. There's nothing new in this, but his screw up is certainly showing everybody that that's in fact what happened. I'd love to hear your take on Mr.
My
Jones.
take is Alex Jones is full of shit. I mean, there is no world where Alex Jones is to be believed in any capacity. If the doctoring of the photo, the doctoring of the video, the suggestion that Macron and like is hauling ass with cocaine across Kyiv in a train, the chancellor of Germany,
Yeah,
and the prime minister of England
yeah,
just openly doing coke on a table before a meeting. Like it's just so it's this is exactly why Elon Musk bought X,
yeah,
right? This is exactly why he bought X. It's exactly why he saved Alex Jones and InfoWars from bankruptcy. It's exactly why you can't believe anything any of these douchebags say. You cannot believe anything you see anymore either. We're boarding now, so I'm going to keep doing this podcast while I'm boarding because
All
I'm a
right.
goddamn G, by the way. Um,
No
but
problem.
I watched that today and I was just like, come on, are you fucking serious? And they
Yeah.
are for some reason. Like they expect people to believe it. And the thing about it is, it
Well,
doesn't matter if anybody believes it. What matters is that they question these people. They question Starmer. They question MERS. And you know what? The idea that Putin wasn't the first guy to actually, and he was the first guy to put it out. I think it was not research in motion. That's BlackBerry. Uh, what's the Russian troll farm that creates this kind of shit?
oh, it'll come to me, but I don't have it.
RDA.
Yeah, I don't have it. I don't have it. I've got the Social Design Agency,
Yeah,
the SDA.
social design agency.
Yeah,
Yeah. SDA. They are so deeply involved in
yeah,
literally giving and people like him
yeah,
content like that with the narrative like that. I go back to the tenant media shit. Remember
yeah,
that?
yeah. Of
They're like,
course.
you're going to do this. This is the narrative you're going to have. This is what you're going to do. And they do it. They always do it. And it's absolutely insane
Yeah,
that people believe it, especially because it comes from Alex Jones. Like,
I don't,
why the fuck? Who believes anything that prick says?
it's
Anything.
I don't understand it either, but it's exactly what's happening. I'm gonna because you're boarding. I'm gonna just do this quickly. Let's get to the number 3 story.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah.
so there's a group of white Afrikaners that have now been given refugee status in the United States. While Trump has essentially shut down all of the refugee programs for anywhere else in the world, one group that has gotten VIP treatment this
White
week,
rich Afrikaners, dude. It's not even
59 white South
white
Africans
guys.
landed at
Yeah.
Dallas Airport yesterday, preceded process for refugee status in just 3 months. And this all happened actually today, sorry. Of course, I'm South African. I can tell you this is insanely unfair. There is not, in fact, a genocide against white farmers in South Africa, as Trump is saying. Whites own 70% of the farmland in America, in South Africa, despite being only 7% of the population. U.S. officials are calling it immigration fraud. U.S. official calls it immigration fraud. The refugee program has been suspended. For others, it's really nonsense that these people are being allowed in VIP red carpet. These are racist Afrikaners from South Africa who helped, essentially the legacy of apartheid. And you've got there, as I've been reporting on our new feudalism series, exactly why there is such a problem with this U.S. administration is its roots. When you look at when you look at Elon Musk, and you look at David Sachs, and you look at Peter Thiel, and you look at Roelof Botha, is all in South Africa. These are racist white South Africans that we're allowing to redesign our American reality.
Mm. Yeah, and I would love your take on it. Like, I know you come to me for my take on this, but I'll tell you what I've heard, and I'll tell you what I've read, what I've researched. These are all people that are connected with Thiel, Sachs, Musk. These are all people that are connected with their family members and friends who've run afoul, and they've created this flow through, this refugee status for these people who are all white, all rich, and Donald Trump wants to bring them into the country because more people that support Donald Trump, the better, especially if they're rich and they're white
Yeah,
and if they're connected to Elon Musk and the people that are keeping him afloat. So this is in no way a refugee ship
yeah.
at all. This is absolutely nothing to do with that. This is how many more people can we bring in from the people that put me in power to keep me in power, and how much money do they have, and how can we charge them $5 million for one of those Trump gold cards? That's what I've heard.
And
So I want your take on it.
well, this is just abject racism. I mean, you've got people being brought in from South Africa because of the color of their skin, while
Mhm.
everyone else who's got a different skin color is being deported away from America. I mean, this is clearly racism. I mean, the mask is off. This administration isn't even pretending anymore. It's just a manufactured reality from South Africa's apartheid system being recreated in America, and they're just racist. No other way to
Yeah.
see it. Number 2 on the countdown is Syria, and believe it or not, it has a connection to Ukraine. So Trump has just hinted that he might lift sanctions on Syria. And the thing is, it's not a coincidence that he's doing this because Turkey's president, Erdogan, has been working the phones. As you know, Ukraine and Russia have agreed to meet this Thursday to have those talks in Turkey. And what Trump is now doing, he's basically agreeing that he will float the current sanctions against Syria, which Turkey has a big interest in because it'll help them rebuild that. and by so doing, he'll only do that if there's a Ukraine peace deal, if Ukraine Russia peace deal can be agreed to by Erdogan. But then there's a sweetener on top of this. He also gets to have a Damascus Trump Tower that he can build because of all of this goodness that he's giving the Syrian people. He's now getting rights to a Damascus Trump Tower. The grift could not be any more outrageous, and it continues. And this is one of those incredible quid pro quo deals that's really happening here.
I think it's bribery, actually. You can call it quid pro quo, but I think what you're talking about is bribery. Listen, you combine that announcement of the Trump Damascus hotel,
Yeah,
which has to come with a peace deal where millions of people have been maimed or murdered in Ukraine. So he's leveraging the death of hundreds of thousands of Russians, hundreds of thousands of Ukrainians, hundreds of thousands of Syrians, so he can get another resort. This is on top of another announcement of the resort, which is coming this week in Qatar, which is led by a whole bunch of people that, interestingly enough, have worked with Hamas and fundraised for Hamas. Justin's son is that guy. So let's connect some dots here because this is fun, right? Let's just connect some Trump dots. Let's combine that with the $400 million Qatari jet. Where does Hamas live? Where do they live?
In Qatar.
Where are the leaders of Hamas? In Qatar.
Yeah, so they operate.
This has got nothing to do with diplomacy. Donald Trump is not interested in peace around the world. He's interested in how he can leverage peace for his own personal gain. I did the math. His family's going to make over $7 billion this week from foreign governments. $7 billion. Add Syria, Damascus to the list, and then leverage all the death that's happened, innocent human beings who've been genocided and murdered in Ukraine and Russia over the past 3 years. That the fact that he's allowed to do this still is unfucking.
Well, it's illegal. It's illegal. I mean, clearly it's illegal, but he's doing it anyhow. And that leads us to the number one story in the countdown today, which is all about our narrative exclusive today, where Trump's $3 billion crypto empire has been fully exposed with their latest venture. This is the third crypto venture the Trump family has invested in, but this time it's going public on the NASDAQ as of tomorrow morning. Is a new public venture called American Bitcoin. But as we reported today, American Bitcoin is really Saudi money that's being flowed from the Saudi sovereign fund all the way through some holding companies that are basically funding or like cover companies that are in the United States. And that money is going directly from the Saudis or indirectly from the Saudi sovereign fund, the Saudi royal family to Donald Trump, where they'll get 20% of all these Bitcoins that are going to be mined in the United States by the American Bitcoin company. It's insane. It's so much corruption. It blows your mind away. And yet, as you point out, they're being allowed to get away with it. And there's it's the third such venture. There's the World Liberty Financial, and then there's also the stable coin that you mentioned with Binance.
Yeah.
Billions of dollars.
You wrote a great piece about it. It's funny. I love working with you because you educate me and entertain me. Where I'm like, no fucking way. You broke that story today. The Venn diagram of the money from Saudis all the way to Trump that you provided in your article was spectacular. I read it on the way to the airport. If anybody wants a real great update as to how brazenly corrupt this trick is, there you go. There's the Venn diagram.
Yeah.
Take us through it, because this is just a quick walkthrough of how Trump rinses money and gives it to his family.
Yeah. And look, what's really problematic here is what they're doing is they're betting against the US dollar. They're hoping that crypto becomes the currency and that the US dollar is no longer the currency, which is, the American president betting against the US dollar is unthinkable. But he's doing it for his own personal reward, and he's doing it through this World Liberty Financial group, which was, funded by the. Is that the Binance people? That is the Binance. I can't really read my own.
CZ, it's Binance and Justin Sun.
Yeah, these are people that were under investigation by the SEC. Those charges, that investigation was dropped. In exchange, they've created these stable coins, these Trump meme coins that are going to basically be worth a ton of money because it's going to be the currency of well, it's a way of basically bribing the American government now. Is you just buy
Yeah.
these meme coins and off you go, and
Give
then
them golf resorts, give
yeah,
them meme coins,
yeah,
make it possible to buy real estate with untraceable Bitcoin. I mean, that's what this
crazy.
is,
It's
to your
crazy,
point, Stuart.
and it's all dirty money. It's all coming from where? It's coming from drug deals. It's coming from all the typical stuff, human trafficking, all the stuff that you would not want to be associated with. And then there's the American Bitcoin venture, which they've now announced they get 20% of this company, which they don't have to pay nothing into. They can just get 20% for being the Trumps. And this is a huge mining conglomerate, basically funded by the Saudis and Jeff Bezos and a whole bunch of other people. And it's going to be mining Bitcoin in the United States, which could be very hugely profitable to them. And the Trumps will get 20% of that in perpetuity forever. And when you look at the bottom of the slide there, you see that it's China, Saudi Arabia, the UAE, and all these Silicon Valley billionaires. Those are the people who are going to be benefiting from all of this, setting up what we call the crypto lords, the crypto kings. If anyone's going to be the crypto king, it's probably going to be Donald Trump, with all these effort, with all the pieces of revenue he's getting from each of these ventures. It really sets up an America where Donald Trump is the king. All this treasury, everything is set up around a crypto blockchain. People have no rights anymore. People have no money anymore. We're all just serving the great lords and the great kings who are running everything based on their crypto holdings. It's a very scary
Yeah.
scenario, but
New
it's real.
new feudalism.
Yeah,
Your whole series is
yeah,
about this, right?
yeah,
And I think that is like such a great baseline for the explanation of what he's trying to accomplish. There are people out there that want to be feudal kings, and Donald Trump doesn't really give a shit about that. The only thing he cares about is power and money. That's it. That's the only thing he cares
yeah.
about. So, like, if you asked him, "Hey, dude, are you trying to, bring back a feudal society?" He's like, he probably can't even spell feudal, but he gets what he wants out of this,
Yeah.
right? Which is in keeping, and we talked about it yesterday in the podcast, and I found that interesting about all these crypto deals too. This is effectively licensing the president of the United States,
Yeah.
right? This is effectively licensing the office of the president of the United States for 10 million here, 6.3 billion there, 400 billion of debt here. And it's not just about access. Again, it's about licensing. There are countries around the world that really believe still that Trump's name has something to do with it. But then I go back to why, because at some point this grip's going to end. Donald Trump's not going to win. He's going to get pushed out, or his administration's regime's going to finish. And then what? Then you've got, a list of investigations into this guy. You know what? Anybody that's willing to enrich him at this point doesn't give a shit which way this goes. It's like Qatar doesn't give a shit which way this goes.
Here's one of
Like,
the things.
China doesn't give a shit if they get caught,
Yeah.
because they get to impugn the president of the United States, destroy the United States from the inside out, and make the United States look like ass. To your point, I go back to that original graph that you put out.
Mm,
The reason why no one likes him, it's not just the ICE rates, it's
mm.
deals like this. The popularity of the United States is absolutely tied intrinsically now to the popularity and the value of President Trump. And if you don't think he's trying to end run the free world right now, like if you don't think that he's going, dude, I'm 78, 79, I'll be 80 next year, I'm going to go for broke for my family. He doesn't care if he gets caught either. And he's getting caught. Like, this is the most brazen grift, corruption of any regime or administration in the free world right now.
And
And he's doing it live on television. Like, he's
he,
having press conferences about it, for
yeah.
Christ's sake.
You know what's really interesting is like he'll get there, and they've already told us what the quo part of the quid pro quo is. They've told us these Bitcoin deals, they've told us the resorts, they've already revealed all that. So now when he goes there and he hands the Qataris and the Saudis the nuclear power plants that they want and all these other things that they're dying to get from the United States, it'll be the quid pro. It will be the quid part. We already know the quo, but it's going in reverse, and no one will be able to prove that. But the second thing is, who's giving him all this money? Royal families are giving him all this money. The Qataris are giving him that free jet. The Saudis are giving him all this crypto backing. Now, why are they doing that? Do they want a royal family in the United States? Maybe this is their way of saying, here, King Donald. Here's your plane. Here's your currency. Here's you owning the United States as we work to destroy the US dollar and US hegemony. That could be a real possibility as he heads into his first foreign trip in Saudi Arabia.
Oh, I don't think that's a possibility, Zebster. I think that's an actuality. I think that's what you call that, is surety.
I like to hedge myself a little bit.
I don't. I'm all in.
Have a great trip, sir. I hate to interrupt your vacation
Thank
or
you.
the trip. Sorry, actually, it's called a vacation, but I'm going to have a safe flight. Thank you for joining us.
Thank
It's
you.
amazing we can do
Yeah.
this. It's amazing we do this.
Yeah, technology is incredible. I didn't want to miss today, obviously, because we're heading over to Rome to kind
Yeah.
of do a quick tip check with the Italian people on their view of Canada. I want to talk a little bit about the Pope, their views of America. I've got a couple interviews set up, and I'm really excited to bring that part of the world back to Canada, which is going to be great. But I'm also excited to have a little bit of fun, and we're going to be checking in from time to time. The daily Dean that I do over at Substack, deanblundell.substack.com. That's going to come in a variety of different forms over the next couple of weeks. Obviously, some traveling, so some will be video related, some will be a little shorter, maybe a little longer. Some will be relating back to, because as a history buff and someone that loves philosophy, one of the reasons that I'm going over to Italy this week is because it's the birthplace of Western civilization, which is at risk at the moment. Not only is it at risk, it's also the birthplace of, people that fight back. The citizens of the citizenry that push back against demagoguery and kings and emperors. And so, we're going to talk a little bit about that history because that's where the history of Western civilization in North America, and that's where it came from. That's where it lives. We pattern our elections after Rome, after the Roman Empire, and so to be there this week, specifically with the new Pope, it's going to be a lot of fun. So I'm going to make sure that I get in here for as many five stacks as humanly possible. And thanks for being flexible. And I want to thank all of our Substackers and all the people that follow both Zev and I. We've got deals. Come and follow us. Some of the stuff is going to be exclusive for paid subscribers. Some will be exclusive for free subscribers as well. But we're going to try to bring you as much flavor from there as I can, and I'll be checking in almost daily with you. So appreciate you being flexible today, Kyle. Thank you so much.
I'm super excited that we could do this. Thanks very much. Dean Blundell from deanblundell.substack.com. I'm Zev Shalev from narrative.org, NARATIV.org. We'll see you again on the next Substack. Have a good day, everybody. Bye-bye.